可以了吗？有没有？
不懂。
是那边角度的问题。
好了，你们可以 hello 一下吗
Hello。
你放这看不到那个 screen。
可以了。有了，刚才老安都没有那个 share 的 button。
你很过分哦。Admin 我做刚今天 Admin 今天 on leave，不是 on leave，他有在，但是。过分了。我们的 admin 在那边没有讲说我这个今天才。你都讲是对人不对事吗？我们。
Yeah, today we missing candidate because it's on NC today. On leave, on leave.
I got take vaccination. I got take. Hello everyone.
Please help us to like and share,
Hello,
please.
Those who are first, if you can, please like and share. Oh, then shall we also maybe share what's the topic that we're touching on today, so that our viewers also can then our audience can you know.
Admin said that today's topic will be rental. What to take note? Like maybe renting out your unit or going to rent a unit.
Okay, so we'll be discussing, and also I think more importantly we'll be sharing our experiences with regards to rental, on the pitfalls, the do's and don'ts, because rental is usually the one that has got a lot of follow through, a lot of sometimes problems may crop up along the way, because if we sign a 2-year rental, you know, our of course as an agent our job ends after we have handed over the unit to the tenant or to the landlord but of course as a value add usually we will still follow through with subsequent feedbacks and all that subsequent issues that arises.
Yes.
So it's a long term thing that we constantly have to deal with so that's where what we are discuss today we'll talk about. I think because every one of us will have encountered different experiences with regards to rental.
Yes.
And sometimes it can really come across really 奇奇怪怪 weird funny things one.
Yeah.
Yep.
Also I think today we'll be sharing.
Those who are watching, you also can share with us your experience, like what kind of situation or how what kind of things that you have met, maybe be it landlord or tenants, or maybe you can share with us what are things to look up for as well.
Yeah.
Or maybe if you're a landlord today or if you're a tenant today, you have encountered some problems during your tenancy period, and you know you would like to have a third party opinion on the matter, then maybe you can also leave a comment, and we'll try to assist as much as we can.
Yeah.
Okay, so just give us a moment while we try to share a little bit more with the rest of our viewers.
Oh, hello Agnes.
Hey, hi, Agnes. 吃
Agnes
饱了没有
Agnes 是谁啊？
Agnes 是 coming on board.
incoming.
谢谢 ，stand 的谢谢。
没有看过的。有看过吗？
没有看过 I don't think so.
好 can maybe
Okay,
let's
shall we
get the
start?
ball rolling. Yes, because
Yeah.
we have viewers on already. So maybe like what we mentioned so maybe if we can start with what are the
Challenge lah.
correct, or maybe what are the things that we should maybe we come in from the point of a landlord lah.
Yeah.
What are the things that we need to take note of as a landlord, when you're renting out your apartment?
Yeah.
What are the things?
What's the terms and conditions we have?
Correct. Usually there will be a few more major ones, that you should really take note of lah, I would say.
In the TA.
Yes, the tenancy agreement, or maybe even before you sign any tenancy agreement, all this needs to be clarified and sorted out lah before you commit to any contract. Also, Bob, maybe you want to share with us from your perspective, or what you have encountered over these years, what are the major things that sometimes if are not taken care of from the start, and will cause issues, or rather big issues down the road during the tenancy.
Yeah, actually for landlords, right, most of the time some of the landlords they have some thinking, which is they choose tenants.
Okay. Yeah, true.
Right, choose tenants, and because they may have some stories behind that. Yeah,
Okay.
they face different tenants before.
Okay, louder.
Yeah.
Louder,
So I met some of the landlords, right? They chose tenants because they faced some bad things before.
Bad experiences
Yeah,
in
experiences
the past
before in
okay,
the past,
okay,
yes. Especially like sometimes some of them they ask us to indicate in the tenancy agreement that there's a special clause there. Yeah. To let's see,
Head mistress.
yeah.
Okay, so you are saying that there are clauses that owner want you to indicate, right?
Yeah, into the contract looks like normally for the common TA
The
don't have
standard TA.
yeah. Let's say we don't allow pets.
Oh.
It's not common in the contract, right?
Yes, correct,
Ah,
correct.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Actually, our standard TA that I think most companies uses are actually very general.
Yeah.
So yes, what you're saying is correct. Because some owners may have had bad experiences with past tenants who had
Yeah.
pets, and then the pets destroyed the house and all that. So come this new tenancy, the
Yeah.
owner will be very particular, and they will ask you to include an additional clause
Yes.
to cover this pet aspect lah.
Yes.
True. Yes, yes.
Also, some of them are very details when hand over to tenants.
Yes,
Yeah.
correct.
I done a few cases which
Uh-huh.
is the landlord really asked me to look at every single corner of the unit. Yeah, to
Oh.
take picture, to write down what's the defects. Yeah, you know. And now I feel like wow, it's so difficult to do rental.
So
Okay.
you
In,
do a
in,
lot.
in short, you feel
Yeah.
like 这个钱很难赚 lah.
Yeah, really.
True. Okay.
Yeah,
but I from my experience, actually that's a very good thing lah. To be very detailed when you do the handing over.
Yes.
Because of myself, I encountered also some bad experiences whereby when the initial handing over to the tenant was not detailed enough, when the unit was being returned to us, that causes a lot of so-called disagreement.
Yes.
The tenant will say this, landlord will say this, and all that. So when you don't have all this,
Then we are being pinpointed.
yes, correct. When we don't have all this to back us up, then end of the day, I think landlord can only come after us, They'll say, hey, why you find me such a lousy agent, or lousy tenant, or why you never take note of this thing, and so on and so forth lah. So although yes, very 麻烦lah, very
Yeah,
troublesome
very
lah, I have to
yes.
agree. Sometimes at the point you feel, wow, 这个钱很难赚
Yeah.
but it's actually a very good practice.
Good and bad depends on the tenant also lah.
Actually,
Yeah, some of the tenants
true.
are quite good.
Mm.
Yeah, you mean like you when you face a very nice tenant actually the TA is nothing.
No,
Yeah.
okay.
Both sides are good, right?
Sometimes it can also backfire because the
Yeah.
more niao you are as a landlord, then they will be very wary of you. They'll be very careful. Hey, why this fellow so niao? Then they'll be
Yeah.
even more niao with you.
Yes.
When in fact sometimes they can be very chincai people.
Yes.
Very,
Yes.
very straightforward people. True. So it does backfire at times as well. So I
Yeah.
think we have to strike a very fine balance between being detailed, but at the same time not being overly niao.
Yes. Don't
Agree.
do too much lah. End of the day,
Yeah.
the landlord don't want to return the deposit. Yeah,
Correct.
a lot of people face that, right?
Correct.
They
So I
complain.
think it also boils down to the relationship that the
Yeah.
tenant and the landlord builds
Yeah.
over the period lah.
That's why for me, I would like to work with someone which is a landlord to have a trust there, to trust each other.
Yeah.
When the landlord hand over the job to me, right, I will done the job very well. Yeah, based on my experience, I will work out with the tenant. Yeah, I don't want to be an agent which is like just a middleman, you know, to pass a message to both sides. It's very hard for you to do rental, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. End of the day, all the problem come back to you. Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
Correct.
You show all your best side to both of the tenant and the landlord.
Show the back side lah.
Yeah, I mean-
not the back side lah.
No.
Don't show the back
No,
side.
sorry. I mean, yeah. Actually become your problem already. Yeah.
True. Yes. Agree. So maybe Steph, on your end, what are your experiences?
For me, I seldom really do rental lah. Okay. I think the most difficult thing is like I think also about share, like you met a very nasty landlord, because I actually received like landlord say, hey, my previous tenant, they destroy my furniture, never take care. So I re-renovate everything sui. So my renovation cost was this much. So if you want to find me a tenant can, make sure that in the clause, right, you must indicate that if let's say if they break or they damage, they have to pay me
Okay.
this much. But no rental.
There'll be some wear and tear lah.
Wear and
Yeah.
tear. So
yes, correct.
coming back to this landlord, I told her that you have to understand that I understand it's new. Maybe the first year the tenant really can take care, but subsequent year, like maybe third year, fourth year, we cannot guarantee because tenant will cook
Yeah,
the whole
true.
kitchen you renovate until sui also no use.
Correct.
So it's
Yeah.
very hard for me to to educate tenant to hey, you must really take care.
Understand.
So-
it will never be 100% lah, no matter how much they take care.
Yeah, then
yeah, that's right.
Then the landlord will say that like that I don't rent to them, no. Then it's like for me I forever cannot find you a tenant.
Yeah, correct. Because all the tenants will be the same.
Yeah. correct.
There will never be a tenant who can guarantee you 100%.
Yeah.
It's a
Correct.
whole unit some more. Then
Mm.
she asking the tenant not to cook.
Oh wow. Okay.
How to guarantee not to cook?
Okay, I think this is where really the agent have to educate the landlord
Yes.
accordingly, and landlord has to really adjust their expectation lah.
Actually, most of the time I will refer some third party company
Third
to
party.
to the landlord to do like cleaning, to do the handover
Professional cleaning and all that lah.
Yeah, now I inform like a lot of companies are doing handover services.
The whole handover process lah.
Yeah, to
Not
like
just cleaning lah.
It's what?
not
Cleaning.
not just cleaning, not just cleaning.
that's
okay,
Even
yeah, that's interesting.
included repairs, painting,
Oh.
paint the wall, like
Oh, okay,
cleaning,
yeah.
everything.
They're a bit
Which
like a handyman slash
which is
contractor slash.
yeah. I will
okay,
introduce a guy to my landlord because my landlord feel like more comfortable. Yeah,
understand.
so at least end of the day, there's a deposit from the tenant to pay for it, pay for the service, right? I can get my unit back, which is still in a good condition.
Understand.
Yeah. Otherwise, some of the landlord feel like not confident with the tenant. Yeah, if the tenant do that, then what's going on? We can't out of control.
Understand.
Yeah, so now if have somebody behind, which it can help us to work out. Yeah, so that's will be great.
Understand.
Yeah.
Understand. For myself, I think there was this one particular unit which I find the landlord was quite smart lah. If you ask me, landlord was very insistent. Usually because when we do handover, we will do the professional cleaning, correct? So but
Yeah.
it's just like probably verbal or it's understood that when I hand over the unit to tenant, I will show them the receipt for the professional cleaning done.
Yes.
And then when they return the unit to the landlord, they're supposed to show the receipt and all
yeah.
that, right?
Yeah.
Correct. But my landlord was very insistent that there is a clause for this professional cleaning. So, in fact, the landlord say the landlord will be the one engaging the professional cleaning, but he will deduct from the tenant, but kept at $300. It's a HDB unit lah.
Yeah.
So but as a result of that, that unit every time when the unit is returned and the unit is being rented out, all the way sui one. That means there is never any dispute on whether clean or not clean.
So professional cleaners is engaged by the landlord.
Yes,
so
correct.
Yeah.
automatic will call down.
Yes,
and clean up.
correct. But it will they put a cap to it lah, for
Yeah.
$300 lah. So I think in this case it's very
It's quite
clear-cut.
reasonable lah.
Very
Yeah.
clear cut,
Yeah.
and there's no way to dispute. That's all done by professional cleaners,
Yes,
ma. And
yes.
and because it's engaged by the landlord,
Yeah.
if it's not clean well enough, then it's the landlord's problem. No landlord
Yeah.
will go and settle himself, ma. So I
Yes.
think that's actually a very good practice, lah, if you
Yeah.
ask me. Although not many tenants will accept that,
really?
that this, we did encounter at the hesitation from the tenant side because
Yeah.
why got this clause and that kind of
Oh,
thing.
yeah.
Okay. But as a result of that, right, I did quite a number of tenancy for them. Every time sui one. Never
Good,
got dispute, never got problem one.
Yeah, that's good.
Hand over to tenant, no dispute. Return back also no dispute one. So I think that is a very good clause to have
Yeah,
that.
it's a good practice.
Included
Yeah.
that. Correct. Then I think another thing that is very commonly disputed is aircon.
Ah.
Oh
Correct?
yes.
Yeah.
Aircon is a
Aircon,
most
because it's also quite costly, ma.
Ah,
Yes.
If you need to repair it or if you need to replace it, it's very costly. Okay, so this is another aspect where it's always in our chat rooms you always have tenants asking, hey, in this case how who should pay, tenant should pay or landlord should pay and all that thing.
Yeah.
So
Actually-
maybe what are your experiences with
Got
regards
experience before?
to aircon?
Yeah,
the
experience
clause lah, maybe.
Okay, actually, in the common tenancy agreement, which shows like tenant need to service aircon every 3
3
months.
months.
Yes.
Right, if you fail to do so, then anything happens with the aircon, the tenant have to bear the costs.
Okay.
Right,
Yes.
if the tenant follow the contract, which is service the aircon every 3 months, then but it still so like the aircon come out like
Problem
some
lah.
problems, the landlord should pay for it.
But
Okay.
how
Yes.
to define the
Yes,
problem?
precisely. So this so
ne-
for those who are here
Okay,
with us today, I
if
think the problem is when a standard tenancy will not state that part. They will just state tenant need to do servicing every 3 months, but it does not clearly state if any repair or replacement arises, right? Who should pay for it? So this is usually where the grey area surfaces.
Yes.
Correct. So maybe you know what do you think would be a good
One
thing to do
incident
there?
happened before for my case. Yeah. After that, every tenancy agreement I will explain highlight to my landlord,
Okay.
which is I see in this contract. Okay, I write quite detail like add on something which
So that
is
means you will actually add
yeah besides
some additional clause to it
besides
lah.
the aircon servicing, right, which is let's say the gas. The
Yes.
gas have been done by the tenant because
Okay.
the one who use the aircon, right, the gas is low, then you need to pump
Top
the
up,
gas.
I just top up and all
Yes,
that.
so maintain the aircon working well, right? So besides that, you just done your part, right? Anything else happens, then I will tell my landlord, okay, this is your job to then
Okay, so you actually add on, you will put it in words lah.
yes, yes,
This is what you just mentioned.
yeah.
Is there any clause that is saying that like chemical wash should be banned by landlord?
This
The one is
this is another part lah, whereby
yeah.
I think most standard tenancy agreement does not cover this.
Yes.
It is very they just cover the 3 monthly minor servicing,
yes,
regular servicing, and that's
Yes.
all. So it does not cover chemical wash. It does not cover repair and replacement.
yeah.
Correct. So maybe from your experience, what have
My
you
experience
encountered,
very
or what
bad.
have you actually done
Yeah.
to
Mine was very bad. I serving tenant another party serving landlord.
yeah.
So I remember my tenant go and rent EC. It's very old EC, 20 years old building.
All right, yeah.
So I think on they signed a 2 years contract lah. So for this first year was very peaceful. Then on this subsequent aircon leaking like the water, everything.
Okay, yeah.
Then after that, of course, we asked the aircon guy. So the aircon guy saying that this aircon is very old,
Yeah.
so need to change everything. And the landlord doesn't want to change.
Okay, but what I mean on hindsight, or rather thereafter, after this thing surfaced, right? How do you think you can further act or do to prevent this from
To make
happening
it better
again
lah.
in the future?
Yeah.
Yes, correct. To protect yourself also lah.
If
landlord
okay,
lah.
if I'm serving a landlord and I see that it's a very old, be it HDB or very old aircon, right?
Okay.
I will just like inform the landlord that how old is your aircon, because the major part is for the rental, right? Wear and tear we don't count lah. The major part is every time it's the aircon issue. So I will tell them that okay, by right tenant every 3 months have to service the aircon. But let's say if they have done their due diligence, right? But in the event, let's say touch wood lah, and the aircon guy managed to find out the problem is maybe compressor not working, have to change. Then this cost will be borne by landlord.
Yeah.
Okay.
And my landlord usually right now they will understand. If I serving landlord lah, but if I serving tenants, I also need to highlight to the agent, because usually we also need to see our fellow colleagues lah. Sometimes they are very responsive, sometimes they don't really care.
Actually,
Yeah,
be reasonable, or you see, let's say the fridge, right? We don't need to maintain the fridge every month, right?
Yes, correct.
Yeah, but anything happens, the tenant need to pay for the minimum cost.
Yes, the
Yeah,
minor
so
repair
so
lah.
it's
That's where the
yeah,
minor
so it's
repair
something
cost
which is
comes in.
be reasonable to be fair to for both sides, right? So next time we just do something like to add on some words in the contract
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
highlight this.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
so if you ask me, right, my personal take on this aircon aspect is actually to further add on to the clause whereby it is clearly stated that all chemical washing is borne by the landlord. or if you all agree, tenant or whichever
Yeah,
party lah. But
yeah.
it's clearly stated who will bear the cost for chemical washing, and also who will bear the cost for the repair and replacement.
Yes.
But of course, a bit tricky also because sometimes I do encounter, like Steph mentioned, the aircon is so old already. So unfortunately, during the stay, the aircon breaks down. So this is again where an agent comes in, and we really have to try to explain to the landlord that the aircon died
Yeah.
because of old age law.
Yes.
So it's not really fair although we are serving the landlord, sometimes we also have to be very neutral. We cannot
Yes.
everything also want to charge to the tenant.
Yes.
And again, this is where we come in, we need to play our part to educate the landlord
Yes.
and say, hey, no, come on, let's be fair. This aircon has been of a certain year.
Okay.
So I think it's only fair that you you bear the replacement cost or repair
Yeah.
cost
But of course we also need to depends on the co-broke lah. Sometimes co-broke they say that tenant all pay. I ever met one tenant. I mean I serving tenant landlord agent, so I told the landlord agent. So for this the aircon guy say that have to overhaul lah, chemical wash everything.
Yeah.
I said no, don't stay there, so you must pay.
Okay, no, my point here is
It's
before
upfront.
before
Yeah.
yes, be upfront. That means before we even enter into this tenancy, right? All this should be included, added on to
That
the
was my first encounter. That's
Yeah,
why
yeah, so
we don't know.
So
I
become
don't
a
know.
problem.
Become
Yeah.
a problem also.
Correct.
Yeah.
So that's why. So now we are learning from all these past
Yes.
experiences, lor.
Yeah. So we can to avoid all the
Yes,
issues
correct.
later
So if
on.
there's any landlords out there today, or even tenants or whoever it is, or even fellow colleague agents, I
Yes.
think it's actually a very, very good practice to add on this additional clause to clearly state, who should be the one bearing the chemical washing, if required, who should be bearing the repair and replacement cost, lah. So to put it very clearly, rather than using just the standard tenancy agreement template, which does not cover all these aspects.
Yes.
So that really saves us a lot of headache as agents, saves us a lot of headache, and also removes all the as much grey area as possible when the problem arises. Also, again, this one aircon is a very perennial problem. We always encounter them.
Yes. Actually, if the landlord if the landlord's person is like very very careful person, also sometimes we also can advise the tenant, which is you can use the landlord's vendor to service the aircon.
Yes,
Right.
correct.
Look,
Again, this is where a lot of give and take between
Yes.
the landlord and the
Yes.
tenant takes place.
Yeah. Let the landlord to feel like more comfortable,
Yes,
more
more
confident.
assured.
Yes.
Correct. You just continue with the same contractor that
Yes.
has been taking care of the aircon. So this way, it also lessens the dispute.
Yes.
Because
Right.
the tenant can then go back and say, hey, look, I've been
Your
using
guy, right?
your guy, correct.
Yeah.
I've been using the same contractor that you are using.
Yeah.
So that I think that gives the landlord more confidence that I think that the contractor is not trying to rip them off also.
Correct.
Correct.
Yes.
Contractor is not trying to tell them to replace when it's not necessary.
Yeah.
So I think that's a very good point as
Yeah.
well. Correct. So but of course all these are a bit more intangible lah.
Yes.
So good practices, yes, correct. But other than aircon, what other things that you guys have encounter more frequently or
Kitchen and toilet. These
okay.
two area,
Toilet,
these two area,
leakage,
no, these two area,
The cleanliness.
like for different people, right?
Uh-huh.
The habits are different.
Oh.
Yeah,
Yes.
and the standard are different. You see the table now, I see dusty, but you see very clean.
Yes.
We have a
precisely.
different standard. This one is very hard to judge.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, especially, maybe the tenant feel like, my standard is just like this, it's acceptable, but the landlord said no. Then what to do?
Yeah, precisely.
Right?
precisely.
Even the tenant ask some company to clean after cleaning, they
The
still,
landlord may still not accept.
Yes,
Landlord will still
yes.
say it's dirty. Yes,
Yes.
encountered before.
yeah.
Correct,
So-
unfortunately,
So
yeah.
it's almost same as the icon. So either as just agent does not share, which is use the landlord's
contractor.
contractor
Yes,
to
yes.
clean or to solve the issue, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So because for tenant, which is tenant have a deposit there. Yeah, they don't have much. They don't have much like bargaining power to landlord. Yeah.
Under their mercy, is it?
Yeah.
At the mercy of the
Yeah,
landlord.
that's
at
why
times,
when before the contract starts, right, we can ask for the landlord's opinion, which is, do you want to use your own guys to
Yes.
serve the account, then do the general cleaning, whatever?
Yes.
Yeah,
I think that's a very good point.
Yeah.
Correct. Use back whatever the landlord is using.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
this gives the landlord a lot of assurance.
Yes.
Okay, that's a very
Yeah.
good point. True.
Right.
Also, for all those landlords out there, you
Yeah.
can take note of
But-
the tenants out there.
But we make sure the landlord's cost, right? All the costs are be reasonable.
Reasonable lah, yes,
Yeah,
of course,
cannot
of
be
course,
like
of course.
higher than the market value too
Yeah.
much. Yeah.
Agree.
Okay.
Yeah. But for landlord also, yeah, because it's a landlord's property.
Yeah. True,
Yeah.
true. So for me, another experience that I think is a good practice is actually when we do the handover to the tenant. Because
Uh-huh.
most of the time, I think I serve landlord more than serving the tenants.
Mm-hmm.
So standing as from the standpoint of a landlord's agent, I think it's also a good practice that when we do the handover to the tenant, right, and
Mm.
when we take back the unit from the tenant, right, it's best that the landlord is there.
Ah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Because the landlord will be able to see for themselves the state of the house
Yeah.
when it's being handed over to the tenant and when they take back.
Yes.
Why I say so is because I had experience whereby landlord was not around when all this handing over took place.
Mm.
So when the tenant returned the house to us, right, we accepted it, of course, because but of course there were things that needed to be rectified. Like this wall was dirty, there were some damages here and there. So the landlord wanted to deduct the tenant's deposit as usual, as usual. Okay, so but the tenant disputed that. And so they went to small claims and all that. Then of course small claim quite standard.
So
Actually the rental amount not much, 2,000 块, 2,000 plus only.
go to small concrete.
So but the tenant was very unsatisfied that the landlord wanted to deduct the whole deposit, you see, because there was quite a fair bit of works to be done.
Uh-huh.
So tenant went to small claims court, and as usual small claim quite standard one, half law, 一人一半，一人让一步, and then you know
Waste
half
time
half.
one.
Correct. Okay, so that was what happened. So landlord was of course not happy, but unfortunately, I was blamed for it. I was blamed by the landlord. So thereafter, right, the landlord stopped letting me do her properties. Properties, not just one property, her properties. So I felt 很心痛 very hard pain because I find that it's really not my fault. I mean, if the tenant is irresponsible, the tenant don't take care of the house, then why is it my fault? And sometimes I'm not sure if you're
You never find a good tenant for me.
Precisely, that is what they will say. Or they will tell, hey, Adrian, help me find a good tenant. How to control?
You cannot know
Correct or not?
who is good.
Yes, correct. So
cannot know
landlords
also.
out there, please be a bit more understanding. Sometimes we really can't tell. Maybe we can, first impression law, I think that's the best that we can do, but we really can't say for sure what is their living habit like, what is, like you say, how they cook, how they use, stay in the house and all that. We really can't control. So unfortunately, that case didn't turn out very well, and end up the landlord got upset with me, and I lost that client because the client had multiple properties, so very 很哀婉 So thereafter I put myself, whenever I do handing over, be it to tenant or back to the landlord, I would, as much as I can, I'll get the landlord to be present. This way we can reduce the potential dispute.
But before handing over the unit to tenant, what you want to do? Do video, take pictures?
It's actually also from this same case and this same client that I started taking a lot of photos. Previously it was just inventory list maybe
or without any?
without any photos and all that, so maybe a bit thought at the time. Like I say, you say, wow, 这样麻烦 that kind of thing. Yes. So thereafter, I make sure I take a lot of photos.
I take a lot of videos.
For me, you said video
from outside.
No, for the defects you need to take photo. For the defects, especially
okay,
the
okay.
hole on the floor.
Then also very smart right now. They will, when they move in, right?
They
first
take photos, send
they
to
will
you,
take
right?
photos and send to me. Oh, okay, not better.
Yes, correct.
Then I'll forward to the landlord.
Yes, correct. So right now I make sure my documentation is all very in order. I don't take video but I think that's also a good point. But I take photos, whether with defect or I just take like that means I just take every angle of the house. So you capture whatever there is there.
But of course, you can also ask landlord any defects in the house that you are aware of.
Then what I do is I further add on by emailing. I will consolidate all the photos and videos or whatever, even those that the tenant sends to us, that you say that tenant noticed some defect, tenant sent to us, that probably was not identified by us during the handover they sent to us. So I will lump everything together, I'll send emails to both parties. So this way there is a trace any dispute, at least you got something to trace back. Also I think these are all good practices to cover ourselves.
Earlier of this year, I done one tenancy. The defect report is 28 pages.
28
pages.
pages?
Who did the defect report?
No, I did.
You did?
When you hand over the unit to the tenant?
Yes.
Okay.
Because the landlord is very careful.
Okay.
Yeah, they're very care about her
the
unit.
property
Yes.
Okay.
First time you renting?
Yes, first time.
First time is it?
Yeah. Then the landlord is there when hand over. Yeah, the landlord with the tenant. yeah, the tenant feel like, oh, the landlord is so detailed.
Stress.
Then the landlord, the tenant become very detailed also.
Yes,
Yeah.
correct. Present. That's why I said backfire earlier.
Yeah,
Right? It's
no,
because of
you know,
landlord.
not only the photo, you know.
Ah.
Sometimes I see on the floor, right, I got different defects, right.
Ah.
Every single defect, I need to write down also.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yes. For this photo, what is the
yeah,
defect?
what's
For
the-
this
which
photo, what's the
area, what
defect?
happens.
Yes. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh my goodness, I tell you,
How you
So I think
remember
sometimes
that?
really no choice. Sometimes really no choice. Although
Yeah.
yes, it's very troublesome, but to prevent any potential dispute down the road,
yeah,
so it's like 先麻烦先 no choice
Yeah.
rather than 后面才来麻烦。
对对对。
So I think really no choice, not easy.
Mm.
So landlords out there, please be more understanding of what
Yeah.
an agent or rather your agent who is handling your rental properties have to go through.
yeah, we're happy to serve you lah.
Correct. Also, of course, we are not defending ourselves as agent. It's
Yeah.
just that sometimes these are the things that we encounter and maybe even some of the difficulties that we encounter.
Yeah,
Although nobody wants problems.
that's why I see. End of the day, you find a good tenant, the TA is a rubbish.
True.
Yeah, just a paper over there, right? It's nothing at all, you know. Yeah, but if you found the bad tenant, then what to
Too
do?
bad.
No matter how comprehensive your TA is, also no use.
Yes,
In a way,
yeah.
true.
Especially the tenant say forfeit deposit, forfeit lor.
Uh,
Then what to do?
correct.
Yeah.
I think maybe the damage that they done to the house is way
No,
more than the
yeah,
deposit.
not enough to pay for it.
Correct, not enough to pay for the,
Yeah.
the rectification
Yes.
works. Correct. So again, it's the relationship between the landlord and the tenant is a very two-way thing, I think.
Yes,
So
correct.
there's a lot of give and take, but of course, as agents ourselves, there are also some precautionary steps that we
Yeah.
have to take. We can take so that we minimize problems for ourselves down the road.
Yeah. But one thing for our agents we need to take note, which is we need to manage both sides well, which is we have to show the tenant is a very good landlord, we show the landlord is a good tenant, which it gives a good impression
Yeah.
for both sides.
Yes.
Right.
yes.
So let both sides cool down first. Yeah. But sometimes if you create the conflict at the beginning,
Yeah,
Yeah.
弄巧反错
Yeah.
actually. Yes,
Wow,
agree.
jialat.
Because
Yes.
if you get off at the wrong foot and you start being very calculative
yes,
from the first day itself, then it just makes things worse,
yes，这是
True,
for
true,
agents 很难做啊，我们也是很辛苦。Yeah.
Well, that's part of our business. Although,
Yeah.
like I mentioned earlier, our job actually ends upon handing over of the
Mm.
unit. But of course, as agents, that's not what we want to do. We want to follow throughout the whole duration of the
Yes.
tenancy, and then value add to our clients.
Yeah, I also have a lot of good landlord.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, correct.
You know, like every time the tenant say, oh, the fridge is not working or the washing machine not working,
Yes.
I can tell you this landlord can send down a new fridge in the afternoon or the day.
The next day.
Yeah, the next
Okay,
day.
yeah. So we do see very extreme ends. That means
Yes.
those who are very
Yeah.
nasty and very
Then-
meow, but there are those who are very generous.
Yes. Then end up actually at the beginning the tenant also like okay like normal lah. Okay, but end up the tenant also like become like very friendly leh.
Very appreciative
yeah.
of the.
Anything happens
yeah.
like let's see the water tap is not working whatever.
Uh-huh.
Then the tenant pay for it. Even I think it's a minimum cost.
Small
ah.
matters,
Yeah. Then the tenant say it's okay fine. Bob fine. You just
true,
inform
true,
the
true.
landlord I done already. Yeah, so I feel like my job is so easy.
So really again that's where the relationship between
Yes.
the landlord and the tenant.
Yes, that's why my suggestion, which is we need to like take care of each other lah.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. So the things definitely become better and
True.
better. Yes.
Correct. Also, I think happy tenants also means like you say they will
You may change
They will put in the
them.
effort.
Yes,
to take better care of your property also.
you are right.
Oh,
You're
yeah,
right.
correct,
You may
correct,
change the people. They feel like paiseh. I also need to take care of your property.
yes,
You know.
yes, correct.
Yeah, it's more positive lor.
True.
Yeah.
True. Yeah, because if they feel that the landlord hasn't been nice to them, the landlord has been nasty to them, then I think they'll just probably trash the place.
Yeah, they feel like it's not
Yeah.
it's not my property.
True,
Yeah.
True.
But of course, I can agree that sometimes the tenant they are very 随便 They don't want to like small matters then tell you then you can tell the landlord.
Oh, but
No.
有时候做好人啊 like also depends on landlord lah. If landlord is good enough
Yes.
then the tenant also feel like yeah very paiseh like that. I do lah. Right? I don't want to let the landlord to 麻烦
Okay.
Yeah,
yeah,
Don't want to trouble the landlord.
Yes.
True. So other than that, what are the other aspects in for the whole duration of the tenancy? You know that there are things that we can look out for. Or maybe if I can just add on, I'm not sure if you all remember. I think a while back there was also actually an insurance scheme.
Insured.
Yes, for the landlord, whereby the insurance actually covers or rather insures the property
Mm-hmm.
for the landlord. So this is where actually the tenant buys an insurance from this particular agency.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then the insurance company will then cover the property.
Mm-hmm.
So in case of any damage beyond the deposit and all that, right? So the
Oh, is
insurance
it
actually
through
comes.
third party, right?
Yes, correct. It's actually through a third party insurance company.
Mm-hmm.
So as
Sing something.
yes, Sing Capital if I'm not wrong. Sing Capital, yes, correct. So they actually do that.
Your
So,
tenant have.
No, because I think probably for the mass
I
market,
heard that. I
it
heard.
may not be so relevant.
Yeah.
But for those really higher end, higher rental,
Uh-huh.
higher
High-end properties.
properties, yes, correct. I think that's a very very good one.
Yeah.
Also, the landlord also got assurance, they will not be worried that later your deposit
So
not
this
enough
one
to
is
cover.
tenant going to engage or landlord pay?
Tenant.
Tenant going to engage, but
Mm.
tenant pay.
Correct.
Everything.
Of course, I think all this can be worked out. Maybe the landlord will
Then they request the tenant to buy.
yes, correct.
Mm.
The landlord may say this
Yeah.
one of the terms
Yeah.
that if you want to rent my property, you have to buy this insurance.
Yes.
So I think this is a very good product, which I think not many people may be aware of. But of course, if you're talking about HDB or maybe those $2,000-3,000 rental units, this insurance may not be so relevant now. But I believe for higher price, those higher end properties, it's probably a
you
very
might
good.
need yeah.
Yes, correct.
Correct.
Then okay, what else do we want to talk about today?
No.
So if you have any, if for our viewers out there who are with us today, if there's anything that you want to highlight, you want to ask, even feel free to leave a comment, and then we'll try to answer that as much as we can.
One point termination.
Oh.
Yes.
It's a very good point. It's very common.
True.
Yeah.
True.
You maybe have a contract which is no termination at all,
yes.
whatever, but end up if let's say any side which is have any reason need to
Yeah.
terminate the contract,
Mm.
yeah, is this still open up for both sides to discuss?
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
True. Yeah, I think again this is where the communication is very important. The
Yeah.
give and take. Because again, if tenant needs to go, he needs to go.
Yes.
If he needs to leave the country, he needs to leave the country. How is he able to fulfill the full term of the tenancy?
Correct.
Also, again, this is where really I think tenant agent and landlord agent also plays a very big part in
Yes.
trying to manage their clients respectively and trying to
Yes.
come to a middle ground.
Yes. Which
Because
is
if you ask me, I think as a landlord's point of view, yeah, you may have, if let's say example, tenant is the one who wants to terminate
Yeah.
the contract, tenant has to leave the country.
Yeah.
So, but tenant may not want or may not have the means to pay the full compensation.
yes.
But if the landlord in line, if the landlord plays hardball and no, then landlord doesn't even want to negotiate. Landlord wants to go by the book
Follow
and
the
say,
contract.
follow contract,
Mm.
go by the book, say you have to pay me full.
Yeah.
And frankly speaking, I think if the landlord is coming from the angle, right, it sometimes may not even be to your advantage.
Yes.
Because the landlord will just fly off. They'll just fly by night. They say,
yeah.
I forgot my deposit, I'll just fly off, bye bye.
两败俱伤. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Also, this is really where sometimes we have to be a bit more flexible.
Hey,
and,
I ask you, if let's say the tenant just fly back to their country,
Yeah.
then this unit,
Yes.
the landlord still can rent out within because there's no termination.
If the rental has stopped being paid, then there's a break of the clause with one of the terms of the contract already,
You mean
But
then-
not immediate, right?
not immediately.
Yeah,
like
but-
tenant fly away, then never hand over or what?
Correct.
And now how just
Never hand over.
just disappear.
Just disappear.
Yeah.
Yes.
Correct, just disappear.
Oh.
Yeah.
So I think the landlord can only claim or rather take back the property after the rental is due beyond what is stated in the contract law.
Correct. You cannot rent out again
Correct, you can't-
immediately,
yes,
right?
you
That's
can't
why
immediate.
that's why you see some a lot of you I must ask a tenant to pay off.
Yes.
Actually, you feel like you may lose your interest also.
Yes, correct. Although you have the upper hand, you say
Yes.
占上风.
Yeah,
correct or not?
nothing
In terms of
wrong. Yes,
contract.
yes.
Correct, but that doesn't mean you win at the end of the day.
Yes.
So really have
That's
to
why we need to
But you
minimize.
also might see the tenant want their big contract. You know, sometimes they are family, I know, friends. Then 4-5 friends talk together want to rent. Then they will say that my friend don't want to rent already, so
Yeah.
only left me paying. So I also don't want to
Yeah,
rent.
yeah. Yeah lah, true lah.
Then
So,
this one will be also
but
another.
again, okay, even if the tenant really, tenant is very insistent on breaking the contract.
Yeah.
Okay, and tenant will still remain in Singapore. But is the landlord then has to decide, is it worth pursuing?
Yes,
Oh.
Correct. The tenant can play punk and stop paying the rental.
yes,
To the tenant, at most I lose my deposit law.
yes.
But then the landlord, in order to pursue, what does he have to do? Engage a lawyer
Yeah,
to pursue, sue and all that thing. So the landlord then has to decide whether is it worth
Then
their
it's the
while
most
to do
they
so.
Yeah.
forfeit the deposit. Lor.
Yeah, lor.
Yeah.
Correct, lor, correct.
that's why is when if you are the landlord, you think back, which is just going to minimize your losses.
Yes,
How
actually
to minimize
yes,
your losses?
correct. Damage control and minimize
Yeah,
your losses.
right.
True.
Yeah, so this is a way to solve the problem.
Correct. So
If-
it's
yeah.
really much better to just sit down and try to
Yes.
negotiate and work out something between
Yes.
you two.
Because I
It-
think I have one tenant big contract, but it's under company list.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So what the reason he give me is also quite rubbish. He said, my company is not going to engage foreigner, so we have to cut down the worker. It's not COVID, not because of COVID. Then,
Then I think the landlord will, same thing, it goes back to the landlord will have to decide whether
Yes.
they want to engage a lawyer to pursue the matter or
or
not.
if
Yes.
the company is very smart, he find another replacement.
Okay,
Corporate lease can replace tenant.
can,
Yeah, can.
Yeah.
Most of the time,
but provided the occupier is the
it's the employee.
company's employee.
Yeah.
No,
Ah,
it's not.
correct. Precisely. If
Normal-
it's not,
normal, yeah,
correct.
must
So
be
again,
employee.
I think again, whenever this thing arises, it's always very great.
Yeah.
So it's really,
Just-
it's the best thing is to really sit down and then for both parties to sit down and try to work out a mutual understanding.
That's why I
somewhere,
tell you lah. If the tenant want to terminate the contract, it's the end already. No need to talk already.
Yes, yes. It's just
Yeah,
like say minimize
yeah.
damage.
Oh, yeah, lah,
Yes, you
yeah.
just to minimize your
Minimize
losses.
damage,
That's all.
yes,
You don't need to.
correct.
You don't need to waste time. You see, hey, please continue your lease.
Or what?
Yeah.
Remaining months pay
Yeah.
me the
Correct.
Yeah.
I think in
rental.
short, we say no need to be 太执着 lah.
Correct.
Ah,
Either you ask a tenant to get a replacement for you,
Yes.
or you get a new tenant,
Yes,
right?
correct, correct.
Which is, you can use the deposit to
Yes.
cover the time, which
the
is
vacant period.
yeah.
lor,
If you can get a new tenant faster, then
you actually earn more.
you earn more. Yes.
Correct.
Definitely.
You forfeit the deposit, and then the next tenant can come in immediately.
Yeah.
The landlord more thing for no reason
Correct.
one more month mah.
Then
Correct.
most of the time, the tenant will agree to sign the termination letter,
Mm.
which is you got the right to you rent it out the unit immediately.
Immediately, yes.
Otherwise, you rent out immediately, then the tenant backfire and say, it's still under my lease. I just
Yes.
own your rental only.
yes. Correct.
Yeah, so become like you rent to two parties.
Yes, yes. So
Become an
again,
issue.
It becomes very complicated. Lah.
Yes.
Oh, true, true.
Yeah.
I think that is the point going forward, whereby really is a matter of getting both parties to come to an agreement.
Yeah.
Correct.
But landlord can try lah. First step, try to ask for the rental. Then
yes.
if cannot, then step 2.
Yeah, true, true, true.
right? 都来太执着了。
执着 lah. I think at the end of the day,
两败俱伤咯。
两败俱伤.
Yeah.
Yes, the landlord may not stand to benefit from it also.
Correct.
Yes, yes, true.
Yeah.
So again, that's where again as agents we come in and we try to advise the owners accordingly on
Yeah.
if you take option A, what are the pros and cons?
Yes.
What are your gains? What are your losses? If you
Mm.
take option B, what are your gains and what are your losses? And then we share with the
Yeah.
our client, be it landlord, be it tenant, so that then from there they can assess which option works best for them. Lor.
Yeah. But see, that's why most of the time, if the tenant want to terminate the contract, right, actually they prepare to forfeit the deposit already.
Yes, correct. True.
Right.
Agree.
Actually, the deposit is much enough for the most of the time, much enough for the
Or
landlord
maybe you
to.
lose half a month.
Yeah,
Half a
yeah.
month of rental,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
let's say
true.
2 years lease, you get 2 months deposit is there, right? So you can get a new tenant within a month.
Yes.
So another,
you gain,
you get
one
another month, right?
Yes,
Yes.
precisely.
Yeah.
True.
So so that's why you see, which is be, don't too emotional.
I think that's the word.
Yeah.
Don't be too emotional, but
Yeah.
look at it from a very logical, from a very objective point of view.
Yeah,
you know,
work out the
for-
number.
Correct. For the landlords out there, who are with us today or who are watching this video later, down the road. Yeah,
Okay.
I think it's really about not being emotional about the whole matter and then
Yeah.
look at it objectively.
Win-win situation. Yeah. Yeah, tendency a lot of story lah.
Do you guys have any experience to share with us? Anyone there?
Yeah, please leave your comment.
Yeah, if
maybe maybe
Mm.
you're encountering a problem at this current moment right now. Maybe you can leave a comment and we'll see. What is. Well, again, like I mentioned, what is option A, option B, option C, lor.
Yes.
From there, you decide which options works best for you, lah.
Yeah. If you're a tenant, you also can reach out your questions to us.
Yeah, actually, and I think another thing about rental is that I think I really do pity some of the tenants actually, because it used to be there are a lot more industries that can run a HDB.
Mm-hmm.
But thereafter, I think HDB has since reduced the number of sectors whereby they're allowed to run HDB.
Yeah.
So that actually forces them to either go and stay in the dormitory if they are of the so-called blue-collar workers.
Mm-hmm.
But if they are not blue-collar workers, right, then they will have no choice. They will be forced to stay in private apartments.
Yes.
Of course, it's more costly, lah.
Yes.
Because I think sectors such as manufacturing,
Yeah.
I counted before. They were renting my landlord's HDB for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think about a few years ago, HDB decides that manufacturing sector can no longer stay in the HDB flats.
Uh-huh.
So I think the tenants went a bit crazy, lah. They were very lost. Then how? They are not blue collar workers, so they can't exactly stay in the dormitory.
Mm-hmm.
But they are probably maybe a bit of a supervisory level and all that. But their past still states manufacturing. So no choice. They end up having to rent private properties, which of course is a lot more costly. So I do pity some of these people who are affected by all these sectors. But unfortunately, this is how it is in Singapore. So maybe any other interesting experiences that you guys have previously?
Rental.
Rental.
Last year I got one. The tenant gave us a letter of intent.
Okay.
Yeah, which is we signed already. Landlord accept the offer. Then we prepare the tenancy agreement. Both signed settled already. Just before the move-in date, the tenant want to terminate the contract.
Wow. Okay. So what happens then?
If you were to do.
Okay lah. For me, I always my principle is 大事化小，小事化无 lor. So I will, again, no choice, have to sit both parties down, try to work out some compensation arrangements lor.
Compensation. What kind of compensation is it?
To the landlord because
We already
contract already signed already, ma.
Yeah.
So I mean, of course it's not fair to the landlord if the tenant can just walk away from the deal.
Yeah.
Correct. So have to compensate the owner, the landlord to some extent lah. So it's just a matter of how much to compensate only.
Yeah.
So I think that's what probably if it happened to me, that's what I'll do lah.
Then yeah, how much is the figure, or maybe how many months rental you looking at to forfeit?
If you ask me, at least the deposit long, whether be it 1 month or 2 months lah, minimally lah. But I think to pursue more, of course yes, the landlord has the contractual rights to do so. But will the tenant pay or will they have the means to pay? That's another big question mark now.
Yeah.
So they being tenants, of course, I don't expect them to be super rich lah. So I think as to how much they are able to pay to compensate the owner also is limited. You see it.
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe if you can share first your experience.
Actually, we already collect 2 months deposit plus advance rental.
Oh wow, okay.
Wow.
Yeah, so holding 3 months.
Yep.
Yeah, so just about 2-3 days before the move-in date. Yeah.
What's the reason?
The daughter don't. Oh yeah, the reason is the daughter don't like the unit.
Wow.
The daughter don't like the
Okay.
unit.
Yeah, just don't like.
Okay.
If you give me some reason, it's more reasonable.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah,
This is a
you
bit
give me this kind of reason, which
too
is
much lah.
yeah, it's like, ayo.
讲不过去哦。
Yeah,
Yeah, true. Okay, then what happened then?
Okay,
What happened
it's a
then?
2 years lah, I presume.
2 years.
Okay.
Yes, just say I don't like.
Okay, so what did the landlord do?
Okay, my landlord asked me
Oh.
for my advice.
So how?
yeah, ask me. Then for me, okay, at the time I'm very clear cut. I see, okay, if we follow the contract, right, the tenant need to pay until a year, until
Yes,
12
of
months.
course. Yep, okay.
Uh-huh.
Before the
Right.
diplomatic
Yeah.
clause kicks
Yeah,
in.
by right.
Yep.
I talked to the tenancy agent also.
Yep.
By right, we say by right, your tenant need to pay until
Full year
the
lah.
12th month, right?
Yep.
Nothing wrong, They also agree.
Yep.
But now, you ask all your deposit, everything back.
It's not fair to the landlord.
Yeah.
lah.
Do you think it's fair? I ask back.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's true.
So they feel like also paiseh lah.
Ah.
Yeah, you see last minute my daughter say don't like the uni, don't like the colour, whatever. Then I say this is not a valid reason.
Valid
Right,
It's not
which
valid,
is
yeah,
which is you came here, you already came here, which
Yeah,
is
and
you
you've seen the
will,
unit
yeah,
before,
see the uni before. Your
yes,
daughter was there also.
Alright.
Then you decide,
Yes.
right? I never force you to, you know.
Never bluff you and all that.
Yeah.
True. Okay.
So end up, we don't have a conclusion at the first discussion. Yeah. So okay, we agree, which is we market the unit.
And see how
Immediately.
soon you can find a new
Yes.
tenant lah.
Yeah, and we get another tenant, which is about 2 weeks later than 2 weeks later after the moving date.
Okay.
Yeah, so end up we return the
First month's rental.
yeah, advance rental to
Advance
the
rental,
tenant.
but not the deposit lah.
Yes,
Or
Fair
forfeit
enough, I
the
think, yeah.
2 months deposit.
yeah,
Hmm.
which is you see we already done the professional cleaning
Okay.
but for the new tenant we do again.
Oh wow. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay lah, but all in all, I think the landlord didn't lose much lah. If you ask me.
Yes.
So
Yes,
Cool, and-
because at the time, you know, my landlord, which is rented out their own house, right, and rent another one.
oh okay.
Yeah, so
Understand.
they already start to pay rental.
Yes, and
so
still
this
suddenly
side
got
empty.
hook up. Yes. True,
Yeah.
True.
So it's like become like it's not a
两
investment.
头不到岸
Yeah.
啊
You know, so they feel like also 麻烦 lah. Yeah, at the time they are moving house, also very tired. He talk about this issue, then
They become very frustrated.
Yeah.
慌张
yeah, so end up then we just forfeit the deposit.
啊
Yeah, you see the landlord got profit or not, then just like about less than a month, just 1 month deposit, you get extra.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
True.
yeah.
So I think another thing I think that you mentioned earlier, I think the relationship between the tenant and the landlord is actually very important because from my own personal experience, right, my apartment, the tenant is super duper late on their rental. Today is September, right? They just paid me my July rental yesterday. So they are like 2 weeks behind, 2 months behind rental. But actually,
Your landlord okay?
which is me, no?
Oh,
Oh, you're the landlord.
Yes, correct. So
So your this landlord okay.
so
You
good
landlord, so good.
You're so good.
So 我们不要跟他们计较啦。Okay, but I think on again that's where the relationship is long because the tenant actually painted the whole house for me
Oh.
using their own time and effort,
Mm-hmm.
and I only paid them for the paint.
Mm-hmm.
So okay, I had some savings down there as well.
Uh-huh.
They did a fair bit of other things as well,
Uh-huh.
out of their own time and effort long. So I did save some money down there also. And again, this is where the relationship is very important.
But is a tenant's happy or got some difficulty
I
to
think
pay
it
for
was
the
over
rental?
the years because they've been renting for me for a few years already. So
Uh-huh.
over the years, start to 2 weeks late,
Oh.
then become 3 weeks late, then
But they
become 1 month
never
late.
inform you like what
No
happened.
lah, then I also got chased a bit, then I also never go and bother that kind of thing. So, but again, I think I'm still relatively happy with this tenant lah. They haven't been giving me really big
Much
issues
more
lah.
problem.
Correct, because again, it's how to say, sometimes all the small little things, if you have to go and handle it yourself, also 很头痛. So a lot of times, a lot of things that happens, right? I just say, hey, you all settle yourself lah. Then if any cost, I will just deduct or whatever it is, I'll just pay for it. So they'll actually go and settle it themselves. So quite trouble free lah, if you ask me lah. So this is where, again the relationship is lah.
Yes.
And also I think it's because of that they also take pretty good care of my house. They actually bothered to paint my house.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if it's a normal tenant, they will just say dirty lah. I don't care.
Yes, you're right.
I'll just
Yes.
pay only ma. And, so but they took the initiative to do it lah. So I think
Yeah.
that's good.
That's why for tenancy, for both sides, landlord and the tenants, most of the things we need to be upfront. Really before the rental start, before the tenancy start.
Yes.
Yeah, we need to highlight to both sides, right? To be upfront,
Yeah.
so to avoid all the latest conflicts.
Yeah. Correct.
Yeah.
So I think maybe we summarize, in
Mm.
terms of contract for whole units, what is a good practice is actually to have clauses that very clearly states the chemical washing that's
Yeah.
required, who is going to bear for it, the repair and replacement of the aircon, who is going to bear for it, and then also the clause for pets, okay, whether pets are allowed or not allowed, and if it's a room rental, to indicate very clearly in the contract whether cooking is allowed or not,
Yes.
So these are the few things I think we feel that is usually not covered in a standard typical tenancy agreement in most agencies,
Yeah.
but really important and good to have it added into your contract lah. So this one at least it removes a lot more grey area
Yeah.
that commonly arises lah.
Yes.
And again on the intangible part is actually more of the relationship lah.
Yeah.
Be it whether you know today you're here with us as a landlord or as a tenant. The relationship between the two parties is actually very, very important because
Yes.
once you build up a good relationship, the goodwill is there. The goodwill is there, so you know you will tend to want to take better care of the house as a tenant, and the landlord will want to take better care of you as a landlord.
Yes.
So you know if there's any other questions that you have, feel free to leave a comment here. We will try to share as much as we can, and of course if you have any other. If you have friends who are tenants, who are landlords, and you think that this topic might be of interest to them, maybe you can also share this video with them as well. If not now, later on, it's fine, because they can always rewatch this video.
Yes.
So please feel free come. Let us know what are the things that you would like us to talk about,
Yeah.
or rather, what are the problems that you're facing now, and then we'll try to, touch on. Come. Join us for the last 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Admin, come.
Admin
Go
boy.
Hun Zeng.
Oh, you
Come
too.
on,
Yeah. Yeah. The MC.
Yeah.
The MC boy come back already.
Yes.
I never on MC. I'm just happened to be like supporting at the back. So I was like telling them saying that because Adrian asked got any question I told him my pocket got hole then needed some money. Then he asked me to come. Come also no money. Why?
Later I buy the zhen and the string that 帮你补。
啊。
我也是啊，你是。
pocket 有洞就补洞嘛，对不对？
Never too late 啦，Never too late。Yeah。
对。
你没有补，等一下
你。用工做工，不要用工做工。你看。Okay, so if there's nothing much that you guys want to share, then maybe we'll just call it for today. Okay, and then do join us again next week, Thursday, same time, 1:30 for our weekly chat. I think next week's topic is also pretty interesting, or rather, actually, in fact, very interesting. But it's something that we need to do a bit more research on. So next week we will share a bit more information with you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Especially those who want to buy new lunch.
Spoiler.
Especially those who want to buy new lunch, wait for it.
Spoiler.
Yeah.
Okay lah. Fair enough. If those of you who are looking to buy a new launch or have plans to do so in the near future, maybe yes, do join us next week, Thursday, same time at 1:30, and then we'll share a bit more on what we'll be touching on.
Yes.
Yeah.
See you there.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah.
For
Thanks.